What is an awakening? Let's not call it a spiritual awakening. I would just like to call it an awakening, because it's not necessarily something that is connected to all the indoctrinated ideas that we have about whatever spirituality is. So it doesn't have to be linked to certain ideas of certain spiritual gifts that many people believe to have. So let's just call it an awakening. What is an awakening? It's just the remembrance of our true nature. This is not supposed to sound mystical. You see, we have developed an intellect, and we don't know how to use it in a way that is harmonizing with nature. Instead, we are using it to dominate nature. And since we are a part of nature, we are dominating each other. And we have invented concepts and beliefs, and ideologies and philosophies, dogma, that have been produced in the hopes that they will improve our lives, but instead they make us, we are in conflict with each other because they exist. And we are absolutely cut off from our true nature, which is the peace that we in our hearts are all yearning for. And because we are living in a society where people are so blinded by concepts and rituals and ideas, we have even invented techniques to meditate. The truth is, meditation is the thing that you do to return to your true nature. Techniques are not a representation of your true nature. It's a representation of what is actually not your true nature. Techniques turn your mind into a computer. They turn you cold. They are a part of this matrix, so to speak. Nature doesn't do techniques to be natural. Look at a tree, look at an animal. The whole nature is meditating. What do you have to do in order to meditate like nature? You just be completely the way you are, without the idea that you need to improve yourself. Your value as an inseparable part of the whole cannot be reduced, and it cannot be increased. And that's something that is not to be understood intellectually, but realized deeply with all of your senses. It can only happen when you return to become a totally sentient being. We could also call it a heart awakening, because that kind of awakening is not an intellectual enlightenment. It is the remembrance of, oh wait, I'm a sensitive being. I'm a natural being. I'm a part of nature. I'm a part of life. And when I'm saying life, I don't mean wake up in the morning, go to your job, then have lunch break, and then work again, and then go home, and then watch TV and go to sleep. That's not life. I mean life. I mean life. If you look at nature, if you look at the fact that you're breathing naturally, The blood is circulating without you having to do it. There is air you can breathe. There's life. And I'm not talking about the objective manifestations of what life is. I'm talking about the force that is life. Which cannot be attained through practice. The reason why you have to meditate in order to achieve your natural state is because you are so deeply conditioned and you have learned to use strategies and practices to just become something that you think you need to become. And that's why you suffer. That's why you have fear, because society makes you believe that once you stop doing that, you will no longer be part of the society, or people will look down on you. But it makes you suffer. So then there comes this idea, I need to meditate to return to my true nature. And what do most people do in order to achieve that, or try to achieve that, is they practice meditation. As if it's a practice, as if it's also something that the mind has to do with cognitive effort. You see? And that's where you run in circles. Can you be natural? Normal? You see, I don't believe that people like Krishnamurti, for example, thought that they had achieved an extraordinary state of being that they have to spread in the world. They have actually noticed that there is a natural way of being and society is sick. And they wanted to make everybody aware, can't you see that we are sick? And can we return to being normal? He never said, I have achieved enlightenment and I have achieved this super amazing state where I always feel bliss and I want to teach it to everybody else. No, he said, the society is sick. And being well adjusted to it is not the way that we can measure our health. It is, which just shows there is a natural way of being which is extremely rare for the human kingdom, for it to happen in the human kingdom, but it exists. So if you feel like you are not part of this society, you don't feel like you are being accepted by society, or you have a hard time being a part of society, most people feel shame about this. But I would say there's absolutely no reason to feel ashamed if you're simply unable to participate in something that is fundamentally sick. Maybe it's just a healthy response, a part of you that says, I want to be healthy, I want to be natural, I want to be like nature. And that is meditation. Simply being. Doesn't mean that you need to look enlightened, and doesn't mean that you need to be spiritually happy. You can be totally awake and at the same time cry. You can be totally natural and grieve. You just become open and transparent and sensitive for everything. You don't even deny suffering. You see? And that's where you achieve something called gnosis. So you have an actual experience of something that you could call the divine. It's like your own empirical evidence of there being actually something that is divine, because you can just feel it in your bones. So you no longer have to rely on dogma, religion, scriptures, beliefs. Belief implies doubt, and doubt implies fear. So if you believe in a loving God, you're living in a state of fear. But there is a way out. You see? And the way out cannot be achieved through discipline, effort, cognitive compulsion to achieve something that you are not already. Become natural.